Now let's bring attorney Neama Rahmani. Thank you for joining, and better yet, welcome to BNC Live. Can you talk about the challenges of finding an impartial and diverse jury in such a high-profile case like this?
It's going to be very challenging. I mean, every single person in the country and around the world has seen this video. And unless you've been living under a rock, it's going to be impossible to not have developed some sort of preconceived idea as to whether Derek Chauvin used force appropriately in this case.
Is it even possible? How does one separate their personal feelings and still oblige to their civic duty?
It's going to be very challenging. I mean, you're going to have these jurors that are going to take an oath to follow the law, follow those jury instructions in Minnesota, but everyone has strong held personal beliefs about racism, our criminal justice system, and law enforcement. So it's going to be difficult to separate those ideas that those jurors are going to have from actually the facts and the evidence in this case.
How do you think they're doing so far?
I think they're doing okay. It's interesting. The prosecution has certainly gone in a very different direction. Normally, prosecutors like older, more conservative jurors that tend to like law enforcement, but not in this case, right? They're going for younger jurors that are going to be more sensitive to those issues of police brutality and systemic racism, what we call woke jurors.
Now, I spoke with another attorney earlier, and she said that it's not normal for the defendant to testify. Do you is that true? Do you believe that Derek Chauvin should testify in his trial?
I think he should, but I don't think he will. I mean, the defense strategy in this case is clear. They're going to attack intent. They're going to say that he didn't intend to kill George Floyd or assault George Floyd. That's that second-degree murder charge. You need an intent to assault. The third degree, which was just reinstated, you need that depraved indifference or depraved mind. And lastly, the manslaughter, you're going to need that culpable negligence. So the defense has a clear strategy here. They're going to attack intent on one hand. The second thing they're going to do is attack causation, and that's that medical causation issue. They're going to point to the alleged drug use. They're going to point to the underlying heart condition and say that's why George Floyd died, not because of Derek Chauvin. So I don't think he's going to testify because the video shows everything that you need to see.
And why would you want him to testify? Is that your answer from a prosecutor standpoint or just an overall attorney playing both sides of the fence?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm a former prosecutor, former federal prosecutor, and from a criminal justice perspective, I would absolutely want to hear from him and to know why he killed this innocent man. But I don't expect him to do so because his defense attorneys are going to keep him off the stand.
Also, do you think that the other officers who will stand trial in August, if I'm not mistaken, do you think they'll be called in to testify? Or should they?
Well, they should as well, but they won't. We already know that they're going to plead the fifth, and I don't expect to see any of those three other officers. And in fact, if Derek Chauvin is acquitted, and I certainly hope he's not, but if he is, I don't expect the prosecution of those other officers to even move forward because they've been charged with just aiding and abetting Chauvin in George Floyd's death.
So what do you think would happen? I mean, would the charges just be dropped?
They would be dropped. If Derek Chauvin is acquitted, I don't expect to see any prosecution after this going forward. That's why this is such an important case for both our country and for justice for all the officers that were involved.
Can you talk about that? Because that's actually a great point. I mean, it seems this case is bigger than just George Floyd. Do you agree?
Oh, no question. This is the trial of the century. And it's so difficult to convict law enforcement officers. In fact, it's only happened once in the state of Minnesota as far as murder is concerned, and that's Muhammad Noor, and that's the basis for the third-degree murder charge in this case. So this will be a very important first step in holding police officers accountable in this case for killing unarmed civilians. So no question, this is obviously about the death, the untimely, unnecessary death of one man, but it's also about our entire criminal justice system and the tactics that law enforcement use against unarmed civilians.
Well, we really appreciate your insight. We thank you for